Greetings, one and all. Thanks for tuning in. I wanted to do another little show about Gurdjieff. And this one, I wanted to look at more of his. Well, someone asked me, is the fourth way a religion? And I don't see it as a religion. I see it as perhaps a religious path or a spiritual path. You could perhaps use those words, but religion to me always, connotates a kind of organization. And really we should be organizing ourselves. I see it more as a spiritual path or a soulful path, because that's what we're developing here, our souls, because we want to save our souls. So it should be like a religion to you as an individual. It is to me, it's like a religion, but at the same time, it's a way of life. But it's not like these organized religions that we see everywhere. What am I trying to say here? Maybe I should just give a bit of a Gurdjieff quote. And he was saying in Views from the Real World, for some people, religion serves as a guidance. For others, it is only a policeman. So I see how the fourth way, though Gurdjieff didn't often use that term himself, he called it the work. So I should be using that, the work, because we're working on ourselves, is a guidance. So we're using it to guide ourselves, to develop ourselves. And it is kind of like a policeman. We're policing ourselves, watching ourselves, making ourselves aware of what it is we're doing or not doing, because we're trying to develop ourselves to be a real person, a real I. We've got all them other eyes in us, and we're trying to stop all the different personalities being in control and to create a deputy steward, he calls it, to take control of all the eyes that aren't helping us and making way so that the essence can come through and you can be your real true self. So in a way, it is a guidance, the work. We're policing ourselves. But at the same time, I suppose in what he's saying here is about religions that people see it as being like a policeman, is that it's, keeping an eye on you, or making you all feel like you're sinners and you must never do any wrong. Well, we don't want to do wrong anyway, but sometimes wrong happens. But we need to be aware of what we're doing when we do something that's wrong. And that's where the work comes in, because we should be being conscious of what it is we're doing. When we do something wrong, we have to learn from it, make amends, seek forgiveness, give forgiveness, because that creates quite a fine vibrating higher energy. But we're not policing other people like organized religion polices everybody that's a part of that religion. We are trying to, I like to say, tread gently as we do this work, but still at the same time, put the effort in and be aware of how we're being. I've got some more quotes from Views from the Real World, because I'm really liking this book. I've been rereading quite a bit of it. Hold on, let me just go back a few pages. So this is Gurdjieff saying, when I begin to think and study impartially, I find that religion and science are both right, in spite of the fact that they are opposed to one another. And I want to remind people that in olden days, in the ancient times, religion and science used to walk hand in hand. It was a same stream. Science and religion were regarded as the same kind of thing, because you are developing yourselves, or life, with the divine in mind, divine source, but advancing the human race at the same time. I know a few scientists, and they say, yeah, we look at whether there is a divine source to everything. So these are scientists that maybe aren't the same as the usual ones we see on TV or whatever, because they still have a faith. but they're using their scientific ways to help them to understand how the divine created this universe. And I like to think that's how the ancients used to work, where maybe today the scientists are trying to prove that it's a not divine source, God created universe, and it's all just created by chance. This is something you have to think about for yourselves, what you believe in. But I'm sure if you're coming to this channel, you've probably got a faith or a belief in something anyway. I don't think any atheists are going to be watching this. So continuing this quote from Views from the Real World. Right, so I find that religion and science are both right, in spite of the fact that they are opposed to one another. One side takes one subject, the other side another. Or they study the same subject, but from different angles. Or one studies the causes, the other the effects of the same phenomenon, and so they never meet. But both are right, for both are based on laws that are mathematically exact. And as we know, Gurdjieff talks a lot about laws and the whole reciprocal maintenance of the universe. And that if we understand the scientific laws of how this universe works, then we begin to understand how we ourselves work, our part in it. And doing this work, we are uniting our spiritual path with our continuing scientific path, because we're trying to understand the laws and applying it to what Gurdjieff calls God, his endlessness. There's many names for it, but it's, you know, his endlessness. He that goes on forever. The divine source is eternity, eternal. So we don't poo-poo science as such, but we may poo-poo it when it's kind of detrimental to humans' evolution or humans' evolvement. You know, it'd be nice to think if scientists could come at their work from a spiritual, soulful point of view, but I don't know many scientists. Like I say, I know a few, but they are few. I don't know if they're few between their companions and that they work with and their acquaintances, whether other scientists have a belief or not. That's, you know, that's down to them. But then I suppose a scientist that's not got a belief is coming only from the intellect, where I'd like to think people that have a spiritual belief and also a scientific research probably are using a bit more of all their senses. But I'm going to continue with this quote. No, I'm not. I'm going to go a few pages before. So this is page 191 of Views from the Real World. The ways are different, but all must get to Philadelphia. This is the basic aim of all religions, but each goes by a different route. After Philadelphia, the road is one. Man in three persons with different languages, different desires, different development and upbringing. But later, all is the same. You may start as a Christian, a Buddhist, a Muslim, and work along the line you are accustomed to and start from one center. But afterwards, the others must be developed too. And that's what we're trying to do with our work. We're trying to develop all our centers so that we follow all the paths, which will become one path. You know, you have your science brain for certain things and your religious or spiritual brain for another. But if we can bring them together to work. And Philadelphia's, when he mentions that, the city of Philadelphia, most people will immediately think of in America, or there's other Philadelphias around the world. But it was also part of the Bible where I've actually forgotten. Isn't that embarrassing? See, can't remember everything all the time. But Philadelphia is an important part of the New Testament. Maybe I should just pause it here and have a quick look it up. Philadelphia, brotherly love. How can I forget that? Anyway, Philadelphia is mentioned in Revelations, and Christ praises it for its, you know, its goodness and its brotherly love, which is what we should all be having, our brotherly and sisterly love for each other. Which is why Gurdjieff mentions it here in Views from the Real World, that we've got to get to Philadelphia. We're supposed to be all, it's one love. Everyone should be having that unconditional love for each other. So we need to get to Philadelphia. And as he says here, all must get to Philadelphia, but each goes by a different route. After Philadelphia, the road is one. Because once we understand brotherly love, which is what Philadelphia means, but we're talking human love here, and love for everything, animals, plants, the world, blah, 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 the divine source, once we understand unconditional love and have it and can project it and feel it, the path becomes one, because we have that understanding, that feeling, that encompassing. I suppose it's beyond words, really. I think perhaps we get glimpses of it now and then. So we're heading to Philadelphia, people. I might name this show. So that was my quotes from Views from the Real World. I wanted to do some In Search of the Miraculous, which is in this book here. And Ouspensky reminds us, religion is doing. A man does not merely think his religion or feel it. He lives his religion as much as he is able. Otherwise, it is not religion, but fantasy or philosophy. He can show his attitude only by his actions. We don't just talk the talk, we got to walk the walk. I know many people that talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. It's quite sad, really. But at least they're talking the talk, so maybe that will go into them at some point, and at some point they will start walking the walk. We have to do this. It's all about doing and being. I'll leave that at that for you all to ponder on. And again, continuing a few pages on, In Search of the Miraculous, every real religion, that is, one that has been created by learned people for a definite aim, consists of two parts. One part teaches what is to be done. This part becomes common knowledge. And the other part teaches how to do the teaching. This is preserved in special schools. And this is going back to how, the mystery schools were probably teaching people how to do it. Most organized religions tell people what they're supposed to be doing, but not how to do it. They tell them what to be, how not to be a sinner. Normally it's what not to do, but they don't teach you how to do it. They don't talk about going deeper into yourself to learn who you are. They give us all these examples that say, let's pick on Christianity for the moment, be like Christ. But they don't teach you how to be like Christ, where the mystery schools would do that deeper understanding. But we thankfully have people like Gurdjieff to show us how to look at ourselves in a deeper way and how to put in the work, how to be religious and implement it into our lives. How to do, well, back to how to do. So I had some more In Search of the Miraculous ones, but my bookmarks have just all fallen out, so I can't find where they are. So let us go to, instead, Meetings with Remarkable Men. Lovely book. I love this. Well, I love all Gurdjieff's books. So he says, this is Gurdjieff speaking, this world brotherhood, which any man can enter, irrespective of the religion to which he formerly belonged. Among the adepts there were former Christians, Jews, Mohammedans, Buddhists, Lamists, and even one shamanist. All were united by God, the truth. Truth is what's, like he's saying here, is what's uniting us. If we can get to Philadelphia and understand true love, unconditional love, that comes with truth. Unconditional love has no negative connotations to it. It's all truth. And, oh yeah, truth. What more can you say to that? We're supposed to be living in truth, not in falsifications, not in mechanical ways. Living as a real person, you have to be true to yourself and to others and to God, to the divine source. Lying, negativity is lower vibration. We want to be higher vibration, which is truth and love. And he goes on to say, I've lost that, sorry. All my bookmarks are falling out because I'm throwing the books around. Let's do a all and everything, an all and everything book, a big book. So this is page 1001, 1001. All the great religions which have existed down to the present time, created by men of equal attainments in regard to the perfecting of their pure reason, are always based on the same truths, which is why it's called the ancient wisdom. We find the same basic truths in all religions. You know, it's all down to brotherly love, Philadelphia. It's all down to being truthful and being honest to yourself and with everybody else. And I'm going to finish with a C.S. Knott quote, which says, "The great religious teachers have not been reformers in the Shavian sense. They have not tried to change or reform any given culture, but to change the chemistry of the human psyche so that men would think and feel and act normally. All external organized religion of whatever kind has come about through the distortion of the sayings of the great teachers." So we're trying to find the truth. And I'm going to just repeat the first bit because it's very important. The great religious teachers have not been reformers in the Shavian sense. They have not tried to change or reform any given culture, but to change the chemistry of the human psyche so that men would think and feel and act normally. And obviously we mean men and women here. We all want to think and feel and act normally as real as possible. We want to be as alive as possible. As Gurdjieff says in his third book, life is real only then when I am. Be real, people.